The objective of this session is to completely understand the process of recognizing the objects by the use of deep learning techniques. And here we will discuss in detail about convolutional neural network, that is CNN model. We will discuss the working principle of CNN, and we will also discuss about how we can implement this model in Python. At the end of this session, we will recognizing objects with deep learning. In order to understand this process, let us consider this particular situation. Here, I am depicting two persons. One is a manager and another is the programmer. And here, manager is giving some requirements to his programmer. He is asking a particular requirement that when a user takes a photo, he wished to have an app that check that whether that picture is clicked on national park or not. So manager want a app, whenever a user upload a picture, the app should tell that whether that picture is taken in a national park or not. So the programmer's response to this question is, yeah, it's very easy to do that, because programmer know that she can use GPS to find out the location of that particular image from where it has been taken, and then it can be easily predicted that whether the picture has been taken in a national park or not. So she's saying that she needs just few hours. She able to build the code for that. Then the curiosity of the manager increased, and he told that also check whether the photo is of a bird or not. So now the requirement is to check that whether in picture we have a bird or not, and check the response of the programmer for this question. I will need a research team and 5 years. It means the process of simply identification of a bird in the image is a very complex task in the computer science. It actually was a very complex task in the computer science, and we were struggling for last couple of decades, maybe you can say that more than 50 years of the development of computer science. We are struggling to identify an objects in the image. But thanks to convolutional neural network and CNN, we are able to solve this problem right now. But the task which can be performed by very easily a 3-year child took 50 years in computer science to solve just a simple problem that we should able to identify the objects in the image. Like if in the image, if we have bird, or if in the image we have a dog or cat, or in order to identify the objects in the image was a very complex task. And we as a computer scientist took approximately 50 years to solve this problem, which can be easily handled by a 3-year-old child. So you can understand that how tough to solve or to build a product to just a very simple problem that we have to recognize the objects with the help of a program. And in order to solve this, we have used a model called as convolutional neural network that able to solve the problem. And this convolutional neural network is actually based on neural network. So in order to understand this process, we will take very basic example of identification of digits with handwritten numbers. So this particular data set is called as MNIST data set, where we have 60,000 images of handwritten digits. So this is a task which is taken by Jan LeCun to build a system. He want to build a system through which he can identify the digits written on the letters. So actually, he want to build a system. He wanted to build a system for post office of US, where they are getting lot of letters, and he want to read the pin code written on those posted letter. And based on that pin code, he want to build an automated system that scatter the letters based on their destination. So automatic scattering of letter based on the destination city by reading the pin code written, handwritten pin code written on the letterhead. So this was the problem statement. And in order to build a system that can read the handwritten text, handwritten digits on the letterhead or on the envelope, he took approximately 60,000 images. And in that particular image, he has all the words written in all possible formats, and every image is of 18 into 18 size. Now the question is what this 18 into 18 image means, because we all are we know about image as an image, but computer don't understand image as an image. Computer only understand digits or numbers, but here we don't have numbers, here we have only image. So this was the first problem, that how we should process image, because normally during machine learning and all those tasks we have input as a numbers, and then we trained it on numbers and then building the model. But this time instead of number we have image as input. So can you tell me any idea that how we can process the image with the machine? So what is the first step to process image in the machine? Anyone can unmute yourself and tell me that, please. Yeah.
So by extracting the features of that image.
So we have pixels.
Sir,
Yeah.
grouping them.
So pixels are important. So we have an image and we convert it into pixels. So this particular slide explaining the whole situation to you, that let's suppose I have 8. So here I'm converting this 8 into pixels. And it now depend upon how many pixels I create from the image. So here I am talking about a size of 18 into 18, mean that 18 rows and 18 columns. The image is divided into 18 rows and 18 columns. Based on the darkness of that particular pixel, we are assigning a number to 0 to 55. Here 55 means dark, while 0 means that it is completely white. So based on the darkness of that particular pixel, we are assigning the number, and you can clearly see that here we are converting 8 into pixels. Then this 8 will be converted into an array of this particular 324 numbers, because 18 into 18 is equal to 324, and this will be my input for processing of ML model. So जो भी मैं model ML का बनाऊंगा, this will be the input which I will give it to my system, and my model will work on that particular input situation. Then we can apply multiple models over this. One simple solution is to use artificial neural network, where we have some input nodes, where we have some output node, and in between that we have some hidden layers to build that particular system. So this is the basic artificial neural network which was used during that time to solve this kind of problem. So the scientists tried to solve it by using some basic artificial neural network. Here we have 324 input numbers. So this will become our input nodes. So our input node will be 324, and output node simply depend upon the number of classes. So this is important to note, that input nodes equal to number of features. Input node equal to number of features. So here we are taking these 324 numbers. So input node will be 324, while output nodes, number of output nodes depend upon the number of classes which we wish to predict. So in this case, we wish to predict between 0 to 9. So it means that there will be 10 classes. So there will be 10 output nodes. So there will be 10 output nodes, and there will be 324 input nodes. So this is very important learning to note. In an artificial neural network, the number of inputs node is equal to number of features which we wish to process, and output node simply depend upon the number of classes we wish to predict. If you wish to predict 10 classes, 1 out of 10, there will be 10 out of node. If you wish to predict 4 classes between 0 to 3, there will be 4 output node. And it is also important to note that in case of regression, where you want to predict a number, not a class, then in that particular situation, we have to use only one output node. Can you tell me what is the difference between regression and classification? Yes, please, quickly. Regression and classification. Yeah. Yes, I am waiting from your response. Regression and classification. Please unmute yourself and tell me. You should try to answer it.
Sir, maybe regression means producing a continuous value, whereas in classification it is directly given in any of the class.
Very good, very good. So when we have to predict a continuous number, then it is called as regression. But when we have to predict it in a discrete value, whether it's yes or no, or 1, 2, 3, or 4, then it is called as classification. I will give you some examples. If I have to predict whether what is the total number of marks you will score in exam, that may be out of 100, so it may be 39, it may be 49, it may be 99, so that will be a number. So when I am going to predict the number, this case is called as regression. But if I have to predict your grade, that shows that your grade will be A, B, C, or D, so then this is a case of classification. So predicting a grade means 1 out of 4, but predicting a number means any continuous number, and it can be any number, maybe 99.9. So then all these case is a continuous value. So this case is called as regression. Okay, I will ask you some question and try to answer me on that. What is today's temperature? It is classification or regression? If I have to predict today's temperature, regression. But if I have to predict it whether today we have a rain or not, whether there will be rain, this is a classification. The run scored by Indian team in India-Australia match,
Regression.
prediction on runs is regression. But whether India will win or lose, whether India will win or lose, classification. The average package which you obtained during placement, average package which you got, regression. But whether you will be placed in a company or not, this is a case of classification. So here we are working on a classification problem where we have to identify a digit between 0 to 9. So I'm telling that number of classes equal to number of output node, and number of features is equal to number of input nodes. And in between that we have hidden layers, and we have hidden a number of nodes in the hidden layer. So there is no standard for number of nodes in intermediate, but normally we try to follow this input plus output divided by 2. So if you have input node 324, output node 10, so divided by 2 will be the number of intermediate nodes or hidden layer nodes. So this is one of the standard which is followed by a lot of people, but yes, this is not the generalized rule. You can play with that particular number, and on that basis you can build your network. So here I am giving general guideline that number of input nodes plus number of output node divided by 2 will be a starting point to have intermediate nodes. Okay, let's come to a problem again. Here we wish to identify a digit through these numbers. So you can see that here we have all possible digits between 0 and 9, and we wish to identify a particular digit by using traditional machine learning approaches. Let's suppose artificial neural network. So what is our objective? Our objective is, let's suppose if you write 8 in a box, so system should be able to identify that this is 8, but if you write another number, the system will be able to identify that this is not 8. So here I'm talking about only identification of digit 8. So if you give 8, system will produce with 100% that this is 8, but if you input 5, the system should say that this is not 8. So we can easily build a system based on by training artificial neural network. As I have already told you, this kind of system produces good accuracy, that if it is 8 or not 8, you can easily build artificial neural network classifier based on that. But this simple solution suffer from two important problems, or you can say that one important problem. What is that problem? The problem is that if you write 8 at the center of image, the system is able to tell yes, it is 8. But if I write 8 at the corner of image, the system will not be able to tell that this is 8. Why so? Because you can see that we have trained my system when I written 8 at the center of image. So here, this is the number on which I trained for digit 8. And during this, you note that 8 is at the center of image, and that's why this is generating values like this. High values in the center and all other corners are getting zeros. But let's imagine if 8 is of smaller size or maybe at the top corner, then can you tell me whether the pixel value produced by this 8 and this 8 will be same or different? The pixel value generated by this 8 or this 8 will be same or different? Yeah, please. It
Different.
will be different because here we are getting dark values in the center, but here you will get the dark value in the corner. So it will give different pixel values. And you know that here I have trained it when 8 is at the center. So system is able to detect 8 when 8 is at center, but if 8 is on the corner, system will not able to detect because it will produce some different pixel value, and system will say that 8 should have these pixel values. If you are getting pixel value at the corner, this is not 8, this is something different. So the system will able to tell 8 if it is exactly at the center, but if it is at corner, you will say that the system will say that he has no idea. So this is the problem which we have to solve. That if I have 8 written on the corner of the image, system should able to do that. And if I change the size of the image, let's suppose 8 I can write in a larger size or smaller size, system should still able to detect that this is 8. So we have to solve this problem. Now we try to solve this problem by using two
Please share the screen. Sir, please share the.
We try to solve this problem by using two solutions. So one solution was that just to use a brute force approach, that here we are using searching with sliding window. So here you can see that my 8 is written over this. So I am dividing the image into number of windows and then searching each portion of the image one by one. So when a window got 8 at the center, the system is able to predict that this is 8. So this particular slide tell you whole story. So here you can see that image is divided into windows and this window is sliding over this, and when I got 8 at the center of this sliding window, the system will able to predict it. So in this case, I have to slide it over that particular image. But you can see that this is not a good way to solve the problem. The first case is that it will take a lot of time because you have to slide your, you have to divide your image into windows and then you have to slide it over this. So first problem, it will take a lot of time. And second problem with artificial intelligence is that we always try to build a system which can mimic the working of human brain. And when we wish to identify objects, it should align with the way human brain work. But of course, this is not the way we recognize an object when we see 8. So when we see 8, we are not recognizing it 8 this way. You should understand, or you should be able to appreciate that this is not the way a human brain works. So we have discarded this solution due to two reasons. First, this is very slow approach, and second, this is not the way the human brain works, because in artificial intelligence, we ultimately want to build a system which work in the same way as human intelligence work. So we try some another approach, and that approach is having more data with deep neural network. Hence, we try to generate more data by using some deep learning technique, and we are generating that data is called as synthetic data. So I hope that you are familiar with that. If we can synthetically generate the data. This is the original image, and from original image we are writing another program which can generate more number of image from this source image by using computer graphics techniques, where we can put this 8 on each possible corner of the image and then train the system on that. Then another way is that generate 8 of all possible sizes, of all possible shapes, and then train the system on that. So it means that instead of training it on one image, we are training it on 100 of images of 8 by having all possible sizes of 8 at different locations, and for this we are generating synthetic data. Since the number of input image will increase a lot due to this, so we will not able to solve it with simple artificial neural network. We have to increase a lot of hidden layers to solve this problem. So earlier we are using only one intermediate layer, but now I have added multiple intermediate layer to solve this problem. And then that particular solution or that particular technique is called as deep learning. So here we are learning another important term called as deep learning. What is the difference between artificial neural network, that is traditional artificial neural network, and deep learning? In traditional artificial neural network, as I have explained you in this figure, we have normally one or two hidden layers only. So there is only one hidden layer in between input and output node. But here you can see that between input and output, I am using multiple hidden layers. So that network become deep. So when you use multiple hidden layers, it means that there are multiple, these hidden layers have multiple neurons which are connected together through each other. So it now acts like a human brain where we have billions of neurons and they are interacting with each other to solve a particular problem. So we called this type of learning as a deep learning. So the conclusion point is that when you have one or two hidden layer, we called it as, can you tell me? When we have one or two hidden layer, we called it as
Artificial neural network.
Neural network. But when we have multiple hidden layers in which billions of neurons are connected together, we call this arrangement as
Deep
Deep
learning.
neural network.
deep learning. And can you tell me the name of the scientist who actually, this is not the new concept. This concept is quite old, as our grandparents or this concept is used in 1970s. But nowadays this concept pick up its pace. So who actually reinvented this concept? Who is considered as the father of deep learning? Can you tell me anything on that? Name of the person who is considered as the father of deep learning? Yeah,
Geoffrey Hinton. Geoffrey Hinton.
yeah. So we have Geoffrey Hinton, who is considered as the father of deep learning, and he is initiated this task at Google Research Lab, and where he implemented deep learning and then produced wonderful system with the use of that. So yeah, Geoffrey Hinton, he is considered as the father of deep learning, and he actually invented this concept to solve this particular kind of problem. So yeah, we are going to solve this problem by generating synthetic data, where we try to generate a lot of images of it and then try to train our system on that. Yes, the system is producing some good results, but again, we are not satisfied the way this model works, because this is not the way which we learn. So now try to understand that if a child learn about 8, the learning of child is not limited to see all possible sizes of 8. So you need to train child that this digit is 8 by simply writing 8 3 or 4 times. So just by writing 8 3 or 4 times, the child is able to understand and learn that how to write it and how to recognize it. Child need not to see all possible sizes of 8 at all possible corner of the image to understand that this is 8. So it means that in order to understand that this is a car, we don't require to look, we don't require to see all the cars available in the world. Just by training on few cars, our brain is able to recognize that, okay, this is the car. By recognizing a car, it is not required to see all possible sizes of the car. We just need to train it only on few images, and a child is able to recognize car as a car, or bus as a bus, or pencil as a pencil. Child need not to train on all possible sizes and all possible colors of the pencil to recognize that this is pencil. So again, the underlying concept for building a model which can depict the working of human brain is not satisfied through this solution also. So we have to look to a solution which which matches with the way we learn. And actually we learn by analyzing or performing some feature engineering. So when we look a person, we try to look for some prominent features in that particular image, and based on that prominent features, we try to identify the object. So this is the way we recognize the person. So when we see a person, we have in our mind some of the prominent feature of that person, and we store those prominent features of the person in our brain. So whenever we see those feature again, we able to recognize that particular person based on those features stored in our brain. So we want to do something like that in our computerization model, that system should able to identify important features of the image, should store that, and when system see those features, the system should able to recognize that, okay, this is that object because it carries those specific features. So we want to build a system like this way. Here we are doing some different approach. We are trying to solve the problem by using some alternative strategy, by generating all possible aids at all corner of the image. And of course, this is not the way human brain works. So we have to discard this. Then Yann LeCun come with the idea of convolutional neural network, and Yann LeCun is considered as the father of CNN. He is the inventor of convolutional neural network, and yeah, both Geoffrey Hinton and Yann LeCun are connected with each other. Can you tell me how they are connected with each other? Geoffrey Hinton and Yann LeCun? Anyone? Any idea? Yeah, please. And you can make any guess how they are connected together. They are.
Sir, I think one was
father.
the professor of.
Yeah, please.
Teacher of the.
Yeah,
other.
Please repeat. I am not able to understand.
I think one was the teacher of another.
Yeah, good. So you can see both of them together enjoying at some restaurant. So Geoffrey Hinton is at Google, Yann LeCun was at Facebook, where they have developed it. And yeah, Geoffrey Hinton was professor of Yann LeCun. So Yann LeCun did his PhD under Geoffrey Hinton in the university, and they both are considered as the pioneer of deep learning and convolutional neural network. One was working at Google, and was working at Facebook, and they are developing such kind of system. So you see that Facebook has automatic labeling of images. So earlier we used to label the image of every person, which we were we used to tag our friends. But nowadays you can see that Facebook is automatically tagging the person whenever we update the image. So this automatic tagging or labeling of those images performed by the program which is written by Yann LeCun, and he initiated that particular task as a problem statement, and later on this work has been extended to multi-folds. So yeah, both are the pioneer in this particular field. Yeah, so Yann LeCun provided the solution to to solve the problem the way human learn from the image. So let's understand now the task is how actually we learn. So in order to understand that how actually we learn, try to look to this image for a few seconds and tell me what you recognize in this image. Everyone, please focus on this image. तो क्या नजर आ रहा है आपको इस इमेज में? So you can unmute yourself and tell me what you are
Front face and side face.
So how many persons you able to recognize? How many pictures?
Two faces.
Two faces. So yeah. So if you look closely, you will able to see two faces. One is person which is looking toward me. So this is eye of the person, and he is looking towards me or you, and another is who is looking to this side. So actually we able to identify two persons or two different faces depending upon the portion of the image on which we focus. So if you consider this particular feature set, you will able to identify that the person is looking towards you. But if you focus on this particular feature set, you will see that the person is looking towards another side. But both the things are correct, and this is the way human brain work, and it is all about the portion of the image where we are focusing, and based on that we are able to identify two different persons from the same image. Tell something about this picture. many faces you able to recognize in this image?
2.
Yeah, again, we can understand look for two images and two faces in this image. So please, everyone, take time and to look that whether you are able to identify two faces in this or not. So can you elaborate it? What two faces are you able to identify in this picture?
Sir, one of a small boy and other of a lady.
Yeah, so another is a lady, old lady actually wearing a shawl. So if you focus on this particular, so this is the face of a lady. This is his mouth, her mouth, and she's wearing a shawl and having some mark on the hair. So this is the one face which you can recognize. And another face is this, which you can able to identify the face of a child and looking towards another side. So yeah, there are two faces which you can easily identify in this particular image. So again, this is important on the features or the area of the picture you are focusing, and based on that we are extracting the features and then recognizing the objects. Same way, can you identify how many faces in this, how many objects in this image?
Sir, two faces.
So it is again two. If you look towards that, this appear like a duck, but if you focus on this, here it appear like a rabbit. So yeah, there are two faces or two different objects you can find out through this image. So it depends upon the feature on which we are focusing. Through this exercise, we at least come to know that how our human brain learn when we see a particular object in the image. So it means that we focus on some of the features, and based on that features we are learning, or based on that feature we are understanding that particular object. So now, same way we want to achieve something, same as Jan LeCun want to achieve something, that from image we should look for some of the prominent features, and then based on that feature we should train our model. And instead of getting pictures of all sizes, or instead of using sliding window, we should use the models which is based on features and its positions, and then we should process those only features which are prominent, not everything in that particular image. So this model, this was the idea of Jan LeCun, and he is working on something who can use that concept. So now we are at a stage where we are going to dig deep into CNN model. So we are going to discuss about internal architecture of CNN. So if at any moment if you feel any doubt, so please feel free to interrupt me. And if you have any doubt up to this point, you can ask me any question. Because now we have started with the second phase of our talk, that is now at this moment we understand that what is the problem with traditional approaches of training the models, because they are not accurate, because they are not the way the human brain works. So now we understand that human brain actually focus on important features, and now we try to build a system which consider those features in building that model is CNN, which is proposed by Jan LeCun. So we are going to build a system which can identify happy and sad face. So let's suppose this is an input image of icon of a happy face. System should able to predict that this is a happy face, and if I input a icon of sad face, system should able to predict that this is sad. So this is the very basic system which we are taking as an example. So it is also important to understand that we may have image in both forms, color image, or we may have black and white image. So if you have black and white image, of course it is converted into pixels. We already learned that. But how we can handle color part in that? Can you tell me, anyone? How we handle the color information? We know that we can convert it into pixels. We just understand that how 8 is converted into pixels. But how are we able to capture the information about the color? Can you tell me anything on that? How
So
we
we
process color? Yeah, please.
So we can calculate the values of RGB for a particular pixel.
Yeah, good point. So here, instead of having a single array like this, here we are having 3D array. So in one, we are storing the value of red. In another array, we are storing the value of green. And in third, we are storing the value of blue. So you know that every image has three main basic colors, red, green, and blue. And by using the combination of these three basic colors, all colors are generated. So we are storing the values of these color in three different arrays. So one array is storing the value of red, another array is storing the value of green, and another array is storing the value of blue. So instead of using 2D array, which was earlier which we used for black and white image, but for color image, we have to use 3D image. Why color is important? Because in order to identify dog and cat, you may look to the color of eyes of both dog and cat, and then our brain may be classifying dog or cat based on the color of their eyes. So if we are not processing the color, we may lose that particular feature, which is very prominent in case of dog and cat. So we should able to process color information in some of the problem domain. So in order to process color information, it is important to note that if you want to carry the information of color with you, you need to convert image into 3D array. But if you think that color information is not important, because let's suppose another case where you are only interested in identifying the sign, whether this is a 1 or 2 or 3 or 4, where the color may not be that important. So you can go with 2D array in that particular situation. So here we have a basic black and white image, because again in this, color will not be important to identify happy and sad faces, because we are taking this as an icon. So here you can see that these will be converted into pixels. So some pixels are dark and some are completely white. In order to explain this process in a simplified way, here we are marking the pixel as 0 or 1. Instead of marking it between 0 to 255 range of colors, here we are just marking it as 0 to 1. You can see that here we have dark areas. These two corners are dark, center is dark, these two corners are dark, and then we have something like this. So these are the ones which are present in the image, or you can see that these are the pixels which carry some dark area and all other is white area. So we are storing this image in 2D array as 0 and 1 form. So here we have this image, we convert it into pixel, and these pixels are converted to 0 and 1. You can see that we have dark area on the corners at the center and in this way. So we have 1 on those positions, and then all other positions carry 0. So if you have any doubt in this particular picture, you can ask me any questions. So it's very simple that we have just extracted 0 and 1 out of this image, and we have stored like this way. So this is my image now. Now we are going to apply convolutional neural network over this, and in this convolutional neural network we have 4 important steps. So these steps are very, very important, and you can write down these name of these steps on your notebook. I asked you to keep your notebook and pen with you, so it will be useful and it will help you to remember these important points. So first step is convolution. So first step is convolution. It means that we are extracting important features from the image. So let's first understand that. So here, this is my input image of a happy face. You know that this is the 0 and 1 which we have just produced. This 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, and center here we have 1. So this is the same image which I am taking it as input. So input is now my numbers, and you can see the size of image is 7 into 7. So there are 7 rows and 7 columns. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 into 7. Then out of this image, we have to look for important features, and we are using something called as feature detector. We called this also as a filter. हम इसको filter या feature detector बोलते हैं, जो कि इस इंफॉर्मेशन को हेल्प करने में, हमारी डिटेक्ट करने में हेल्प करेगा. So this is very important point, that from this input image we are going to extract important features. So now this process which we are going to discuss is very, very important, and I wish that you should able to understand this process clearly. We have 60 participants, so I wish that everyone should able to understand that process. So if you feel at any point that step is not clear to you, please interrupt me. So let's do some feature detection over this. So how we perform that step? So what we will do, so here I have a feature detector of size 3 by 3. You can choose any size, but here for simplicity I am taking a size of 3 by 3 over input image size is 7 by 7. So 7 by 7 is input image, feature detector is of 3 into 3, and you can see that this is the array which I am superimposing over my input image. So this is input image and this is the first 3 by 3 sector of my input image. Now this 3 by 3 window will be scanned for this feature detector. And if we have a match with the corresponding one, that number will be incremental. So we are going to find out the number of cells in which we have match. So again, I am repeating, we are going to find out the number of cells in which we have match of 1. So can you see how many number of matches of 1 we have between this window and this feature detector? So you can see here we have 1, but here we have 0, 1, 0, 1, 1, 0, 0. So there is no match exactly. So if there is no match, we will put a 0 in the corresponding output. So here in output we are producing 0 because there is no match. Then we will move to next position. So next position is this. So just give me a minute to move to next position. So next position is this now. So this is next 3 by 3. So now let's find out, compare how many matches we have. Can you tell me how many number of ones are now matching at both the positions? What is the count of this? You can unmute.
The one match.
One match, and this is the only match. So we have 1 at both the positions. So if there is 1 match, you have to put 1 here in the next box. So here we have get the value of second. So now let's do the match for this. So here you can see that there is no match. So we have to put 0 here. Now let's move next. So here we have this. So again, there is no match. So we have to put 0. So then we have this. In this, again, there is no match. So we have to put 0. So this way I have generated the full row, and now after generating full row, I move to the second row of the input image, and now this is my focused area. So here I am comparing it. Again, there is no match, so I am putting 0. Then I will move to the next position. So here I have 1, this. So there is only 1 match, so I will put 1 here. So this way you can see that I am generating 1 and 0 for targeted feature map. The output which I am getting is called as feature map, and I am producing this output. So let's focus on this particular, So let's focus on this particular portion of the image to understand this case further.
Excuse me, sir.
Yeah, please.
Sir, the feature detector or the filter that you have used is selected randomly?
Yeah, good question. So I will ask. Yeah, good question. So of course, this feature detector is selected randomly by my convolutional neural network, and it automatically tuned. So during forward and backward learning of the model, it automatically tuned to optimize size. So yes, we have selected it. Model actually selected it randomly, and we have no human control over this. And this is the beauty of CNN model, that everything is controlled by machine. Earlier we tried to use our own feature detector. We tried to put our brain to identify what are the important features, but we fail miserably in that. So now this task is given to machine, that you try random number and then try to optimize the that particular feature detector. So model automatically learn best feature detector through training process by using forward and backward propagation, and then find out optimized number for this. So let's do this one for this particular window size. So let's first consider this corner. So in this corner we have this 1 match. So I am putting 1 here because I am at the second last row. So now let's move next. So if you focus on this, please everyone focus on this area. So you can see that this is the exact match. So exact match means how many 1 are match. So here 4 numbers are matched. So 1, 2, 3, and 4. So I am writing 4 here. So then we will move to next portion. Here we have 2 match, so this will be 2. So this way you can see that I have generated all the numbers. So if you have any doubt in generation of this feature map, you can ask me any questions. Here we have elaborated the whole process clearly, that first of all we start with this first portion, and in this first portion we count the number of exact matches we have. Here we have 0, then we move to next, then we have 1 match. Same way we moving it to the next part, and this case is called as stride. So there is term called as stride because I am moving to one portion. So after doing for this, I will move to next. So I'm not skipping anything. So here stride is 1. Sometime we can make a jump of 2, sometime we can make a jump of 3, but here I am making a jump of 1 without skipping anything. So here in this example I am taking stride value of 1, and on that basis I am creating a feature map, and you can clearly see that now we have important information about what is the significance of this feature map. Is that this feature map is now telling me that this feature detector which you are looking is available somewhere at this corner of the image because it has very high number. So this feature detector is helpful to tell me the position that okay, this area has that particular important feature which you are looking for, and this is the area where you are getting exact number. This particular feature detector is also telling me that yes, this is another second important area where your feature is present, and this is another second important area where your feature is present, and these are the areas where the feature you are looking for is not important. So here we have a feature detector or filter, and we are identifying that feature detector from the input image and creating a feature map for this. Okay, so now we have a feature map. Now, can you tell me how many feature detector I need to use? It is only one or it may be multiple? क्या हमें एक फीचर डिटेक्टर यूज करना चाहिए या एक इमेज में हम बहुत सारे फीचर डिटेक्टर यूज करने चाहिए?
बहुत सारे होना चाहिए।
बहुत सारे होने चाहिए क्योंकि जब भी हम एक पर्सन को देखते हैं तो वी विल नॉट फोकस ओनली ऑन वन फीचर, वी फोकस ऑन मल्टीपल features. So we should have multiple feature detectors, and you also know that every feature detector produce a one corresponding feature map. हर feature detector अपने corresponding एक feature map produce करेगा. So if there are multiple feature detector, it means that there will be multiple. How many feature map we will have?
So many
feature map. It will be multiple, which is equal to the number of feature detector you are using. So actually in convolutional layer, you can see that we are not having only one feature map, we are having multiple feature map, and this is just as an array of feature maps. It means that we are using multiple feature detectors, and every feature detector is producing a unique feature map, and yeah, we can control the number of features in which we are interested, and the system is automatically deciding the values for those feature detector and then generating corresponding features map. So here the system is generating corresponding features map, and yeah, we have generated these feature maps through this particular image. So this is the way we have a feature map concept, and we are generating multiple feature maps through an input image, and this first step is called as convolutional layer. So this is our convolutional layer. So if you have any doubt in this process, you can ask me any question. So here it is clearly written that we create multiple feature map to obtain our first convolutional layer, and this is the first step which we are talking about. So then the next process is that over this feature map, we apply some activation function, and that activation function is called as ReLU. You may be familiar with the term, that is rectifier linear unit. So in artificial neural network, we have some activation functions which we apply on the output to extract some important information. So let's try to understand why we are applying ReLU layer. So when we see a particular image, we focus main on the linear portion or non-linear aspect of the image. जहाँ पे लीनियरली सब चल रहा होता है हम उस एरिया पे फोकस करते हैं, या जहाँ पे कुछ चेंजेस होते हैं हम उस एरिया पे फोकस करते हैं। फॉर एग्जाम्पल, जब आप किसी पर्सन को देखते हो तो क्या आप उसके हेयर्स जो कि सारे ब्लैक है, आप उन्हीं हेयर्स में उलझे रहते हैं, या हम उस एरिया पे फोकस करते हैं जहां से ब्लैक कलर स्किन कलर में चेंज होता है, द बाउंड्री
Non-linear.
बिटवीन द फेस। So we mainly focus on the non-linearity in the image. तो जब भी हम कोई चीज को देखते हैं तो हम नॉन लिनियरिटी को फोकस करते हैं, क्योंकि फेस में आपका फेस प्लेन चल रहा है तो एक एरिया, लेकिन जैसे ही हमारे फेस में आईज के लिए जो ड्रॉप आता है तो हम उस वाले पोर्शन को फोकस करते हैं। जैसे ही नोज का पोर्शन रेज होता है हम उस एरिया पे फोकस करते हैं। जैसे ही लिप्स का एरिया आता है हम उस पे फोकस करते हैं, क्योंकि वहां पे नॉन लिनियरिटी आती है, वहां पे चेंज आता है। तो जहां पे चेंज आता है हम उस एरिया पे ज्यादा फोकस करते हैं। दिस इज you all are familiar that when we see the person we normally look about the eyes and the nose and the lips and the hair style. So why? Because this is a area where we have non-linearity. So in order to add non-linearity to our image, we add or we apply ReLU function. So ReLU actually you can say that signify more on non-linearity of the image. तो उस non-linearity को more significant कर देता है. So that's why we are applying ReLU over convolutional layer in the first step, so that those non-linear portion of the image become more significant. So this is the first step which we have discussed right now. So what we have covered up to now, we have discussed about the first step that is called as convolution step. Here we have input image on which we are applying some feature detector. This feature detector will try to identify important features in the image. Based on that, it produces feature map about the number of exact matches we have. So here we have 4, mean that there is a match in this area. If we have 2, it means that there is a little match. If 0 means there is no match. So we have multiple feature detectors which are producing multiple feature map. And yes, as we focus on non-linearity, same way we also focus on non-linearity in the image. So in order to make non-linear feature more prominent or significant, we are applying ReLU layer over this convolutional layer. So this is first step. Here we are in step B, we are applying ReLU layer. Now the second step is called as max pooling. So this step 2 is come after which step? इसके बाद है पहला step कौन सा था? पहला step कौन सा था? कन्वोल्यूशन। और अब हम सेकंड स्टेप के ऊपर हैं जिसको हम बोल रहे हैं मैक्स पूलिंग। सो लेट्स अंडरस्टैंड दिस मैक्स पूलिंग। दिस मैक्स पूलिंग सॉल्व टू इंपॉर्टेंट पर्पस। ये मैक्स पूलिंग 2 पर्पस सॉल्व करता है। क्या वो 2 पर्पस है? पहला पर्पस ये है कि जो आपको इमेज मिलेगा उसमें जरूरी नहीं है कि जो फीचर जो आप ढूंढ रहे हो वो एग्जैक्ट पोजीशन पे मिले, वो किसी डिफरेंट पोजीशंस पे हो सकता है डिपेंडिंग अपॉन द पोजीशन ऑफ द ऑब्जेक्ट इन द इमेज। For example, this is cheetah, and it has been observed that कि इसका जो most prominent feature है वो ये वाला है, जो इसकी eyes में से एक आंसू की तरह से लाइन निकल रही है black कलर की। This is the very prominent feature of cheetah which make it distinguishable from all other tigers and all those things. So we are looking for this particular prominent features. Let's suppose now अब इस image में ये prominent feature इस position पे है, लेकिन जैसे हमने इसको रोटेट किया इसकी पोजीशन बदल गई, और अगली में हमने थोड़ा सा इसको स्क्यू किया हुआ है तो इसकी पोजीशन फिर चेंज हो गई। सो वी शुड एबल टू आइडेंटिफाई द प्रोमिनेंट फीचर इररिस्पेक्टिव ऑफ देयर पोजीशन। दिस इज वन important criteria which we wish to have in our model, because our model should not be sensitive that ये जो 4 है हमने देखा कि ये वाला पोर्शन के ऊपर प्रोमिनेंट फीचर है। सो इफ द पोजीशन ऑफ दैट 4 चेंजेस लिटिल बिट, वी शुड एबल टू रिकॉग्नाइज, वी शुड स्टिल एबल टू रिकॉग्नाइज इट। वी शुड नॉट से दैट ओके यहाँ तो 4 मिल नहीं रहा इस पोजीशन पे, सो दिस इज नॉट दैट सेम फीचर। ड्यू टू द अलाइनमेंट और चेंज इन दैट ये 4 यहाँ भी मिल सकता है, ये 4 यहाँ पे भी आ सकता था, ये 4 यहाँ पे भी आ सकता है। तो अगर 4 की पोजीशन थोड़ी बहुत चेंज होती है, so we should able to absorb that particular change, and we should still able to identify that yes, this feature is present, because through these pictures you can clearly see that that prominent feature can appear at different positions. So all these are the different images where you can see that this prominent feature is available at different positions. So we should be able to recognize that particular feature. So this is our first requirement of applying something called as max pooling. The second important thing which we wish to achieve is that when we process a feature detector, you can see that there are a lot of zeros also, which mean that this prominent feature is present in this area, but these are the areas where that particular feature is not present. So normally जब एक person को हम देखते हैं तो we only extract minimum information about that person. उसने क्या पहना था हमें याद नहीं रहता, उसके जो main prominent feature है वो हम अपने पास store करके रखते हैं. So it means that those features which are not important, we should ignore that. This is also very important characteristic of our brain कि हम जो unimportant चीजें उसको बहुत जल्दी छोड़ देते हैं और उसको याद नहीं रखते. सिर्फ वो मुझे एक साल बाद कोई याद नहीं होगा, लेकिन यस उसके जो फीचर्स हैं वो स्टिल मेरे ब्रेन में स्टोर होंगे. इट मीन दैट we are storing only the prominent features which are important in deciding that particular person or object, but we are ignoring all others. So इस फीचर मैप में से मुझे जो अनइम्पॉर्टेंट इंफॉर्मेशन है उसको निकाल देना चाहिए अगली लेयर्स के लिए. इससे एक तो ह्यूमन ब्रेन वाला टास्क अचीव हो जाएगा, प्लस प्रोसेसिंग पॉइंट ऑफ व्यू से भी माय प्रोसेसिंग विल बिकम मोर फास्ट, बिकॉज इन दिस आई हैव टू वर्क ऑन लेस नंबर ऑफ डिजिट्स, लेस डेटा, सो आई विल एबल टू मेक प्रेडिक्शंस with a very fast way with the little of computation. So computation resources are important, time is important, so I want to make it little bit more abstract. So in order to make abstraction over this feature map, we are applying max pooling. And another objective is that we should be able to identify important feature irrespective of exact location. तो position independence achieve करना चाहता हूँ. So there are two objectives. One is to obtain position independence and another is to reduce the size. And for this we are applying some max pooling. So when we apply max pooling, it produced a feature map which we called as a pooled feature map. तो ये क्या करता है इसको समझते हैं. पूल्ड फीचर मैप के लिए हम क्या करते हैं, मैक्स पूलिंग के लिए हम एक और एरे बनाते हैं, और लेट्स सपोज हियर आई एम कंसीडरिंग ए एरे ऑफ 2 into 2 साइज. तो मैं इसमें 2 into 2 साइज के एरे पे फोकस करता हूं और उसका जो मोस्ट प्रोमिनेंट फीचर है उसको रखता हूं और बाकियों को इग्नोर कर देता हूं. तो इन 4 सेल्स के कॉरस्पॉन्डिंग मैं एक सेल क्रिएट करूंगा और इसमें से जो मोस्ट प्रोमिनेंट वैल्यूज है वो रखूंगा, दूसरी छोड़ दूंगा. तो पहला 2 into 2 का एरे देखता हूं, इसको मैं एक्सपोर्ट करता हूं और इसमें से जो मोस्ट प्रोमिनेंट वैल्यू है वो 1 है, तो मैं यहाँ पे 1 लिखता हूं, बाकी वैल्यू छोड़ देता हूं. अब ये एक तरह से पूरा प्रोसेस हो चुका है, तो अब मैं दोबारा से इसको प्रोसेस नहीं करूंगा बिकॉज ऑलरेडी दिस लाइन इज प्रोसेस. सो यहाँ पे मैं स्ट्राइड 1 यूज कर रहा हूं, तो मैं अगली बार अगले पे आ जाता हूं. तो आप यहाँ डिफरेंट समझिए, जब मैंने CNN अप्लाई किया था तो मैंने यहाँ पे जंप किया था, किसी को स्किप नहीं किया था. बट हियर आई वांट एब्स्ट्रैक्शन, सो आई हैव ऑलरेडी कवर दिस एरिया, सो आई एम यूजिंग स्ट्राइड 2 नाउ. तो एक ये वाला बीच का छोड़ूंगा और अगले 2 into 2 पे आ जाऊंगा. अब इसमें से मैक्सिमम प्रोमिनेंट वैल्यू 1 है, तो यहाँ 1 लिख दूंगा. अब ये कवर अप हो गया पूरा. अब मैं अगला इस पोर्शन को ले लूंगा, तो यहाँ कुछ नहीं है, तो इसको मैं बोलता हूँ पैडिंग. तो मैं 0 से पैड कर दूंगा. इसमें से प्रोमिनेंट वैल्यू क्या है, 0, सो आई विल राइट इट 0. अब ये वाली रो तो कवर हो चुकी थी, अब मैं अगला इस एरिया में से देखता हूँ. इसमें से मोस्ट प्रोमिनेंट वैल्यू है 4, सो आई विल राइट हियर 4. इसको देखूंगा 2, इसमें से पैडिंग करूंगा, इट विल बी 1. इसमें से देखूंगा, यहाँ पैडिंग करूंगा, इट विल 0. यहाँ पैडिंग करूंगा, इट विल बी 2. पैडिंग करूंगा तो इट विल बी 1. सो ये मेरा एक पूल्ड फीचर मैप बन जाएगा. तो ये पूल्ड फीचर मैप ने, मेरे पास यहाँ साइज था 5 into 5 का, और ये साइज रिड्यूस होके हो गया है 3 into 3. So one thing is that I am able to reduce the size. Plus another thing is that कि अब आप एक चीज ध्यान से सोचना, अब यहाँ पे अगर 4 इसकी बजाय यहाँ पे होता या यहाँ पे होता या यहाँ पे होता, तो मुझे सेम पूल्ड फीचर मैप मिलना था. There is no change in that. So I am able to make 4 पोजीशन इंडिपेंडेंट. इन चारों में से कहीं भी आए मेरा रिजल्ट सेम रहने वाला है. तो मैंने कुछ लेवल पे पोजीशन इंडिपेंडेंस अचीव कर ली. अगर आप और पोजीशन इंडिपेंडेंस अचीव करना चाहते थे तो आप इसको 3x3 में भी कवर कर सकते थे। 3x3 बना देता तो इसका मतलब इन 9 पोजीशंस में से, इन 9 पोजीशन में से 4 कहीं भी होता, आपको वो 4 ही लिखना था। तो you are actually achieving the position independence. What is the level of position independence is dependent upon the size of max pooling. Here I am using 2x2, but if you want that कि और position independence चाहिए तो आप 4x4 भी use कर सकते थे, but normally we use it 2x2 and it has been observed that it is sufficient to extract important features and make it position independence. So again I am repeating it. So here we have a feature map. इसमें से हम मैक्स पूलिंग कर रहे हैं, 2 ऑब्जेक्टिव थे, साइज छोटा करना एंड सेकंड इंपॉर्टेंट पॉइंट टू मेक इट पोजीशन इंडिपेंडेंस. सो हियर वी आर यूजिंग ए stride 2. So first I am extracting here 1, then we move to next, here it is 1, then 0, then we move to next, this is 4 and this is 2, 1. So in this way we are producing all the pooled feature map, and you can see that the size has been reduced and we are able to achieve position independence. So we have added 2 layers into our convolutional model. First is convolution layer and second is pooling layer. So if you have any doubt up to this point, you can ask me any question. Good. तो 2 लेयर हो चुकी हैं. थर्ड लेयर कौन सी थी? कैन यू टेल मी द नेम ऑफ थर्ड लेयर? या प्लीज. हाँ जी, flattening. So yeah, the next layer is flattening. So let's understand quickly what is this flattening layer, and this is the most simplest layer in this convolutional neural network. So we now have a pooled feature map. इसकी आउटपुट आ चुकी थी, ये हमने देखी है. We have this output. You can see 110421 We are taking this as 110421. This is the output of pooled feature map. हम यहाँ इसको जस्ट फ्लैट कर रहे हैं. तो ये जो वैल्यूज है इनको मैं एक सिंगल रो मैट्रिक्स में बना रहा हूँ 110421 एंड दिस प्रोसेस इज कॉल्ड एज फ्लैटनिंग बिकॉज दिस इज नाउ गोइंग टू बी इनपुट ऑफ आर्टिफिशियल न्यूरल नेटवर्क. इसके अगली जो स्टेज वो ट्रेडिशनल ANN मॉडल है. तो इसके आगे ANN मॉडल है और यू नो दैट इन ANN मॉडल वी हैव इनपुट लेयर, वी हैव हिडन लेयर, वी हैव आउटपुट लेयर. तो ये जो इनपुट लेयर है, तो ये इनपुट लेयर अब आप समझ सकते हैं कि मैंने जो इनपुट लेयर दी है वो इस CNN के प्रोसेस से दी है. तो है मेरा ANN ही आगे, लेकिन इस ANN के पीछे मैंने एक CNN मॉडल ऐड किया है और ये CNN मॉडल इंपॉर्टेंट फीचर एक्सट्रैक्ट कर रहा है, उनके ऊपर मैक्स पूलिंग कर रहा है और फिर उसकी इनपुट की प्रिपरेशन कर रहा है. एंड आफ्टर हैविंग दिस इनपुट हियर दिस विल बिकम माय इनपुट लेयर ऑफ फ्यूचर ANN. तो इसके अगली जो स्टेज है, अगली स्टेज क्या थी? फोर्थ स्टेप क्या है? व्हाट इज द फोर्थ स्टेप? फोर्थ स्टेप इज फुली कनेक्शन. तो जो फुली कनेक्शन है उसमें हम इसी को इनपुट देंगे और उसके आगे मैं ये जो इनपुट है ये मेरी इनपुट लेयर बनेगी और उसके ऊपर आप देखते हैं कि मैंने ट्रेडिशनल आर्टिफिशियल न्यूरल नेटवर्क जो है वो बिल्ड किया हुआ है. ये आउटपुट है, ये हिडन लेयर है और ये मेरे पास इनपुट लेयर है. सो दिस इज द फाइनल आर्किटेक्चर. हियर वी हैव इनपुट इमेज on which we are applying multiple feature detectors. These are producing multiple feature maps. Then I am applying some pooling. So this is reducing the size and also making it positional independence. For every feature map we will get pooled feature map. तो जितने यहाँ पे layers है उतनी ही corresponding pooled layer है. So हर layer के लिए एक digits आएंगे, ये अगली layer के लिए होंगे, ये अगली layer के लिए होंगे, ये अगली layer के लिए होंगे. तो इस तरह से एक बहुत बड़ा सा input feature map बन जाएगा और ये इनपुट फीचर मैप हम आगे आर्टिफिशियल न्यूरल नेटवर्क को दे देंगे एंड दिस आर्टिफिशियल न्यूरल नेटवर्क विल बी ट्रेन्ड फर्दर ऑन डॉग एंड कैट and this way we are able to identify the pictures. So now here we have CNN, here we have ANN, and now you know that how this this artificial neural network work. So artificial neural network क्या करता है, ये पहले यहाँ पे रैंडमली क्या सेलेक्ट करेगा, फीचर मैप बनाएगा, फिर रैंडमली वेट असाइन करेगा इनको और रैंडमली फीचर मैप बनाया, रैंडमली उन्हें वेट असाइन किए और उसकी बेसिस के ऊपर एक प्रिडिक्शन करेगा। तो फिर यहाँ पे क्या होगा, एक एरर कैलकुलेट होता है जिसमें प्रिडिक्टेड वैल्यू एक्चुअल वैल्यू से कंपेयर की जाती है और उसकी बेसिस के ऊपर एक एरर निकाला जाता है। वो एरर को हम बैक प्रोपेगेट करते हैं। दिस प्रोसेस इज नाउ कॉल्ड एज बैक प्रोपेगेशन। तो जब हम बैक प्रोपेगेट करते हैं तो अब यहाँ पे फीचर मैप की वैल्यू ट्यून होगी, ये वेट्स ट्यून होंगे और ट्यूनिंग करने के बाद मैं वापस यहाँ पे आऊंगा और एक प्रिडिक्टेड वैल्यू और प्रोड्यूस करूंगा। Then this new predicted value will be compared with actual value, then updated error will be calculated। फिर इस updated error के साथ फिर वापस जाऊंगा और यहाँ पे फीचर डिटेक्टर की वैल्यू ट्यून करूंगा, वेट्स की वैल्यू ट्यून करूंगा, फिर वापस आऊंगा, प्रिडिक्टेड वैल्यू दूंगा और ये प्रोसेस फॉरवर्ड और बैकवर्ड प्रोपेगेशन का चलता जाएगा जब तक एरर जो है वो मिनिमम नहीं हो जाता। So this case is called as learning. Can you tell me this process of forward and backward propagation? One cycle of forward and backward propagation is called as, क्या टेक्निकल टर्म में इसको बोलते हैं? एक फॉरवर्ड और बैकवर्ड के साइकिल को क्या बोलते हो? You know that? Please try to correlate. One cycle of forward and backward propagation is called as, give a guess. कुछ तो into दो. That process is called as epoch. So this is very important. Epoch. तो हम जो आर्टिफिशियल न्यूरल नेटवर्क है या CNN है उसमें बोलते हैं कि हमने 20 इपॉक तक रन किया, 100 इपॉक तक मैंने मॉडल इंडिया। तो इपॉक का मतलब क्या है, कितने फॉरवर्ड और बैकवर्ड प्रोपेगेशन आपने किए हैं। वन साइकिल ऑफ फॉरवर्ड एंड बैकवर्ड प्रोपेगेशन इज कॉल्ड एज इपॉक। सो इट द मॉडल इज ट्रेन्ड through forward and backward propagation with the objective to minimize the error, and when we get minimum error we stop the process, and during this process a model learn from multiple epoch, and when it goes back, when it tune, it not only tune the weights, it also tune the feature detectors value. So फीचर मैप फीचर डिटेक्टर की वैल्यू को ट्यून करता है। तो जब फीचर डिटेक्टर की वैल्यू को ट्यून होता है तो इसका मतलब कि वो फीचर डिटेक्टर इनिशियली रैंडमली सिलेक्ट होते हैं, एंड आर्टिफिशियल न्यूरल नेटवर्क एंड CNN मॉडल इज रिस्पॉन्सिबल टू प्रोड्यूस द ट्यून्ड वैल्यू ऑफ दिस feature detector. So this way we able to identify dog and cat, and all the classifier are built in same way. So if you give the picture of dog, the system is able to say that yes, this is dog. But if you are giving it cat, the system is more confident in this case that this is cat. So ultimately, this is giving total 100% probability. So probability of cat is more as compared to dog, and in this case, probability of dog is more as compared to cat. So we will predict the class in this way. So in this case, the class is dog, while in this case, the predicted class will be cat. So this way our model works. This is the whole picture of convolutional neural network, where we have input image, then we have a convolution where we apply some feature detectors. This will produce multiple feature maps, then we are pulling it, फिर उसके बाद हम इसको flat कर रहे हैं, फिर ये multiple artificial neural network के layers हैं और फिर output layer है। और learning ऐसे होती है, हम randomly कुछ values के साथ एक predicted value देते हैं, प्रिडिक्टेड वैल्यू को एक्चुअल वैल्यू से कंपेयर करते हैं और एरर आता है, फिर उस एरर की वैल्यू के साथ हम वापस जाते हैं और यहाँ पे इन वैल्यूज को ट्यून करते हैं, और ट्यून करने के बाद फिर एक और प्रिडिक्टेड वैल्यू मिलती है, उसको एक्चुअल से कंपेयर करते हैं, फिर एरर देखते हैं, पहले से कुछ कम हो गया होता है, फिर वापस जाते हैं, फिर एडजस्ट करते रहते हैं और तब तक इन वैल्यूज को एडजस्ट करते रहते हैं जब तक क्या ना हो जाए। बोलो, जब तक क्या ना हो जाए,
एरर रेट
हाँ, तो जब तक एरर मिनिमम या जीरो ना हो जाए। तो एक्चुअली जो आइडल केस है वो जीरो है, बट ऑफ कोर्स इट नेवर अचीव्ड। सो जब तक एरर मिनिमम ना हो जाए तब तक हम चलते रहते हैं। सो इस वे में हम अपनी जो क्लासिफिकेशन है उसकी प्रॉब्लम को सॉर्ट आउट करते हैं। सो लेट अस रिवाइज व्हाट वी हैव डिस्कस्ड। सो just go
Sir,
back.
how we know that how many hidden layers are there?
Yeah, it is again not a fixed rule that how many hidden layers are there. So we normally experiment it with. So there are multiple models which have multiple hidden layers. Like VG16 है, VGG19 है, तो कोई 16 लेयर यूज करती है, कोई 19 लेयर यूज करती है. So there are multiple models which are using multiple layers depending upon the complexity of problem. So this way they are solving it. But yes, there is no fixed guideline about that. You can always experiment it, and we have to learn it through experiment. So let's quickly recap it. If you have any doubts, so you can still ask me, but quickly recap करते हैं. हमने आज देखा कि हम एक hand digit recognition problem को solve करना चाहते थे. This is just called as a hello world in deep learning, where we have MNIST data set, where we have an image of digits. We want to recognize it. Image will be converted to pixel value, and then we process it through traditional artificial neural network. But the problem is that if what is at the center, we will able to recognize it, but if it is a corner, we fail to recognize it. So there are two solutions. One is sliding window, where we break the image into windows and then learn out of that, but this is not the way we learn. Then another approach is to generate synthetic data, but again, this is not the way human brain works. Then if we are generating synthetic data, we are also using lot of hidden layers, means we are using deep learning. This is given by Geoffrey Hinton, but Yann LeCun come with another idea to simulate the process of human brain, and he produced a model called as CNN, where we focus on important features of the person to understand that how human brain works, and that we try to implement it in CNN models. So here in first step, we convert it into array. If it is black and white, we convert it into 2D. If it is 3D color, we convert it into 3D. Then pixel values are converted to 0 and 1. Then this pixel values will pass through convolutional layer, where we have feature detector. This feature detector is randomly chosen, and then this feature detector is producing a corresponding feature map, where we are finding the exact match between feature detector and the values of the image by breaking image into windows. And this way we produce feature map to recognize that the important area in the image where we are able to locate that feature. But there will be multiple feature map that will be producing multiple, there will be multiple feature detectors that will be producing multiple feature maps. We also learn that we focus more on dissimilarity or non-linearity of the image. So in order to enforce non-linearity, we are applying ReLU layer over it to make non-linearity more significant and further improve the accuracy of our model. So that's why he proposed a ReLU layer over this. Then we have max pooling with two objectives, because the position may change, plus we also want abstraction. So that's why we apply max pool. In this I am using 2x2, where we are also using a slide with stride as 2. And in this way, we are producing a pooled feature map with reduced size and also position independence. This is important to understand that now 4 is at any of those 4 positions, it will also produce the same output. It always produces the same output. So actually we are able to make it positional independence of 4 positions. If you want positional independence for 9 positions, you are advised to use max pooling as 3 into 3. If you want more positional independence, you can go for 4 into 4. So this way we are able to achieve positional independence, and this is the output in our case. So we discard all non-important portion of that particular image and only take this pooled feature map for next stages of output. Since we have multiple feature maps, so we will get multiple pooled feature layers. And then in flattening, we are just giving this as a input layer of artificial neural network. So this way we are having an input layer. So ultimately this is our model. So this will be the first 3, let's suppose for first layer, next 3 will be for this, next 3 will be for this. So ultimately we will have a long input layer which carry all the information of the previous layers, and then we give this to our fully connection layer. This produce forward and backward propagation, through which we change the value of feature detectors and weights and produce some predicted value, compare it with actual values, produce some error. With the objective to minimize the error, we perform number of epochs, and after a few epochs, system actually achieve that particular stage when we have minimum value of errors, and in that way we are able to predict a particular class. So in this case, we are able to have this, and this is the full model which we have. So this is a discussion on CNN model. Now let's quickly understand the code for this, because coding is also very, very important, and we want to interested in the practical stuff, that how we have to implement the code in CNN. And the beauty of this is that CNN is so simple and so powerful that you can easily implement it. So yeah, so at this point we have already discussed about the architecture of CNN. We have 30 minutes, approximately 40 minutes now. So I will take 20 minutes to discuss about the code of CNN. Then we will have a quick quiz based on the discussion which we had. And you have learned now that in this CNN we have some different stages. But the beauty of Python is that this makes whole process very simple, and just by writing a one line of code you are able to implement a one particular layer. So this is so simple. So here we discussed about convolution layer, pooled layer, mapping layer, and fully connection layer, but it only requires one line of code to implement it. So how to implement it, let's discuss this now. So I'm going to present now about the code of this. And this code is very, very easy. That will give you confidence to implement it. So yeah, in order to implement it, we have to use Keras library. So you have to import this Keras library, and in this Keras library, we have everything inbuilt. So in this library, you can see that there is a one class to implement convolutional layer. There is a one class to implement max pooling layer. There is a one class to import library to import for flatten layer, and there is a one library for dense layer. So all these are readily available, and you just need to create object of these classes to implement it. And all these classes are available in these libraries. So we are just importing these classes in the beginning so that you can build your convolutional neural network. So let's do that. So here, first of all, you can see that here I'm using sequential class from this library. So this sequential class is used to create the model, because here I am creating a sequential model. First will be convolutional layer, then will be max pooling, then flattening, and then dense. This is a sequence process. So in order to build layer by layer, I have to use this sequential class. So for this class, I am creating an object called as classifier. So here we are initializing a class sequential and creating an object for the process called as classifier. And you know that over this classifier, we have to build multiple layers, which is convolutional, ReLU, and all those. So here you can see that here I am first step building convolutional layer with ReLU activation function. So let's see the code for this. This is just a one line code. So this is the beauty of this convolutional model. So here you can see that I am adding a layer with the method called as add. और इसमें हम क्या ऐड कर रहे हैं? We are using a function convolutional 2D. और इसमें here I am specifying that 32 3x3 input shape and activation. So there are only 3 parameters. So let's understand the importance of these parameters. Let's first understand input shape. Input shape means that my input image will be converted, will have 64 rows, 64 columns with 3 values, 3 dimensions of RGB. It means that I am working on color image. तो मेरे पास जब मैंने एग्जांपल ली थी तो 7x7 वाला था, 771 हमने लिया था, लेकिन इस एग्जांपल में 64, 64 और 3 है. मींस 64 रोज है, 64 कॉलम्स है और 3 RGB की वैल्यूज मैं ले रहा हूँ. नाउ अब इस 3x64 into 16:4 के ऊपर हमें एक फीचर मैप बनाना था. Now in this feature map we used 3x3, but in this I am using 3x3 again. But how many feature maps I'm using? I'm using 32 features map. So I'm just giving a number कि you create 32 feature detectors सो 32 फीचर डिटेक्टर बनाने हैं और एक फीचर डिटेक्टर का साइज 3x3 का होना चाहिए, और ये लगाने के बाद यू शुड अप्लाई ए activation function relu. So we are just telling the same thing, that yes, we have input image of 64 rows, 64 columns. We are considering color image, so that's why it is 3. Then I have to give feature detector size. So feature detector size is 3 into 3. Now you know that I have to use multiple feature detectors. So here I am giving a number for this. Yeah, I want 32 feature detectors. So yes, here we have 32 feature detectors. The size of each filter is 3 into 3. We are applying it over input image, and then we are applying ReLU layer over it. And this complete my first step, that is convolution steps. So this is wonderful. Just one line of code is able to do that step. Next is max pooling. In max pooling, you know that you have to tell the size of pooled matrix. So this is the code, and you can see that in step 2, we are just using again classifier. We are adding another layer over it, and that is now max pooling 2D. And we are just specifying pooled size, nothing else. So again, one line of code, and during this one line of code, we are able to implement a whole step that is called as pooling step. So here we are just specifying pooled size. Okay, we have to use a pooled size of 2x2. Wonderful, so simple. So it is all about the concept. Once concept is clear, then coding and implementation is very simple. So you have image converted into pixels. Here you convert it into pixels, you specify the size. Here you are specifying the filters, number of filters and the size of each filter. You are applying also ReLU layer over this. Then in this you are applying pooling. You need to just apply pool size. You can use 2x2 or 3x3 or 4x4, and 2x2 is perfect size for that. Then what is step 3? Can you tell me? Yes, what is step 3? Flatten. So you can see how easy it, just one line of code. So classify.add flatten. So it will flatten it, and it will make you input layer ready for processing of artificial neural network. And fourth step is full connection. So in full connection, you have to specify the number of hidden layers and number of neurons in each layer. So here we are having 2 hidden layers. Why 2? Because I am writing add 2 times. If you want 3 hidden layers, you need to repeat this code again. So this is the number of hidden layers, and here I am using, here I am using only 1 hidden layer. This is 1 hidden layer, and this is actually output layer. So here I am adding input layer. So this is hidden layer. So in hidden layer, I am adding dense, which is used for fully connections. I am specifying the units that in hidden layer I have to use neurons. So how many neurons I am using? I am using 128 neurons. And in hidden layer, I am also applying a activation function called as ReLU. So once hidden layer is defined, then next is output layer. So in output layer, I have only binary classifier. So if it is a binary classifier, you only need one node, which will tell whether it is 0 or 1. So in case of binary classifier, you only one output node. But in case of multi-class classifier, you need 3 or 4 depending upon the number of digits you are classifying. अगर 10 डिजिट करने हैं तो आपकी नंबर ऑफ क्लासेस, नंबर ऑफ नोड्स 10 होंगे. तो ये यूनिट्स बता रहा है कि आउटपुट नोड के ऊपर कितनी, आउटपुट लेयर पे कितनी नोड्स है. तो डॉग और कैट बाइनरी क्लासिफायर है, तो ये डॉग कैट का केस है, तो इसके लिए यूनिट 1 लिया है. लेकिन अगर आपको डिजिट्स बनाने हैं तो ये यूनिट आपके 10 हो जाएंगे. और आउटपुट के लिए हम एक्टिवेशन फंक्शन नॉर्मली सिग्मॉइड यूज करते हैं, जो कि डायरेक्टली आपको आउटपुट प्रोबेबिलिटी में देता है कि कितनी प्रोबेबिलिटी है उस पर्टिकुलर क्लास की. सो हियर आई एम एडिंग 1 हिडन लेयर with 128 neurons in that particular input layer, and here I am adding output layer with only 1 output node because it is a binary classifier. So एक चलेगा, अगर 10 digits classify करने थे तो 10 आएगा, नॉर्मली हिडन लेयर पे रेलू लगाते हैं और नॉर्मली हम आउटपुट लेयर के ऊपर सिग्मॉइड लगाते हैं, बट यू कैन प्ले विद दिस लेयर and you can also play with number of hidden layers. So in order to add more layer, you just need to copy that code again and again. So it will add more number of hidden layers. So this I have built our.
Excuse me.
Yeah.
Could you explain this step 4 once again, sir?
Yeah. Just give me a minute. Just give me a minute. So at this point, we have initially we have this first convolutional layer where we specify input size, number of filters, the size of each filter. After this, we have applied max pooling and specify the size. Then it is a time for flattening. So this flattening will make input ready for artificial neural network. In ANN, here in this model, I am using one hidden layer and one output layer. So this is output layer, this is hidden layer. In hidden layer, there are some neurons. So I have to specify how many neuron will be there in one hidden layer. And I also have to specify how many neuron will be there in output layer. So here I am specifying that in hidden layer, I am using 128 neurons. So this number is 128 in this. You can play with this number. You can have 256 or any number. So here I am specifying 128 neuron. And when you apply having hidden layer, you need to also specify activation function. I'm specifying activation function. There are multiple activation functions, but here I'm using ReLU activation function. Then we have an output layer. And this is a binary classifier. Binary classifier means that I can make predictions just by having true or false. If it is dog, I will say 1. If it is cat, I will say 0. So only one node is sufficient to tell for 0 or 1. So that's why I'm using only one node for binary classifier. But if I have to predict between 0, 1 to 9, 10 digits, then I have to use 10 nodes. But this is an example of dog and cat, so I'm using only one output node. So this unit is 1. And normally when we have output node, we apply sigmoid because it directly provides probabilities like 0.9% this is 1 or 0.9% this is 0. So this way it can give the output in probabilities. So this is output layer. This is my hidden layer. And if you want more hidden layers like this, so then you need just to copy this code multiple times. तो ये कोड जितनी बार लिखेंगे उतनी लेयर्स बीच में ऐड होती जाएंगी. So you can have this code multiple times and you can play with this. So after this, my model is ready. If you have any question, please ask me. Is it clear?
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
Good. So now it is time to, after building this whole model, so we have built this model like this. हमारा ये मॉडल यहाँ तक तैयार हो गया. We have this सब कर लिया. Now it is a time to forward and backward propagate it and run it until we got error minimum. So in order to do this forward propagation and backward propagation, we are using the concept called as compiling. So compiling is actually telling us to perform forward and backward propagation until you get this loss, this error minimum. And this algorithm for forward and backward propagation to minimize the error is called as actually a optimizer. So basically it now reduced to a optimization problem. So this optimization algorithm is implemented in a parameter called as Adam. So this is the name of parameter for optimizer algorithm. So here we are calling optimizer Adam, which is used to optimize the error. And here we are telling that you have to minimize this particular loss, which we called it as binary cross entropy. Binary because it is a binary classifier, and we are considering it as an important accuracy metric. So the model will compile by using this Adam optimizer, which optimize this particular loss function to achieve accuracy as important metric. Until we achieve optimized accuracy, this will perform continuous forward and backward propagation, and once this compilation is over, your model will be ready. So just 5 or 6 lines of code and you can build your convolutional neural networks. These are the just stages. So by compiling mean that the model will start compiling it, start running it, and it will perform some epochs. And you can see that after every epoch, error, the value of error is reducing, and after when it stops, you will find that the error is minimum or error is reduced to 0. So these are simple coding steps, and you can easily implement that code in Python or Anaconda. For this, we are having this code with the use of Keras library. So first of all, we have to import all these classes which are available in these libraries. So once you import it, first we use sequential class to build an object classifier. Then over this classifier object, we are using add method to first add convolutional layer by specifying input size, number of filters and size of each filter, applying activation functions. Then we are applying max pooling over this, just specifying to add max pooling with size 2 by 2. Then we are asking it to flatten the values. Then we are asking the system to add one hidden layer and one output layer. And then we are just asking the system to compile it by using optimizer as Adam, and the system will optimize it and produce the desired results. So if you have any doubts, you can ask me any question. Good. So we have 49 participants. I hope that you were able to understand it clearly. Now it is a time for quiz. Ready for quiz?